This is gonna be, you need to know how to do this before you can do 1.5, so I'm just gonna spend one day on teaching interval notation. So basically, I want like you to put a bunch of number lines on here. For a couple more, I don't know how many I need. I'll just do a couple of them here. That looks like enough. Here's 0. Let's put 1 and put an open circle and shade to the right. Here's 0. Here's a -2. Closed circle, shade to the left. Let's see, 0. Let's put 1 here at 1 and 1 here at -2. Open, closed, and it's coming together. 0. Let's make this one 3, and this one's a -4. Open, going to the left, closed, going to the right. Let's shade this whole thing in here and leave the last one empty. You can either shut it off and copy this if you'd like, or you could just follow along with me as I do this. So these are just different types of number lines, and you're gonna learn something that you've never learned before. It's called interval notation. So we're gonna learn about inequalities for the rest of this chapter. This sign stands for greater than, and this sign stands for less than. It's easy to remember. Less than goes to the left, faces the left, the arrow, like if that's a bow and arrow. Less, left. That should be pretty easy to remember, that less than, you shade to the left, greater than you shade to the right. We also are gonna see greater than or equal to, and less than and equal to also with a line underneath it, which means you have to include it as part of your problem. Greater than and less than without a line underneath it, you use an open circle. When you have a line underneath it, you use a closed circle when you're doing the rest of this chapter. No line, open circle, line underneath, closed circle. And then one other sign that you have to know is the infinity sign. The infinity sign is this symbol. I think you've seen it before. You can practice making it. It looks like a sideways 8. If you don't like making it like that, you can just make 2 zeros next to each other, and that looks like an infinity sign. We're going to learn about a positive infinity, which the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger, and then a negative infinity when the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller. So you're going to learn about infinity also. So how do you write this in interval notation, the first number line? So this is what you do. You always read a number line from left to right, just like you read a book from left to right. So basically, I'm over here, you guys, and I'm gonna scan this number line until I get to the first answer. My first answer starts at 1. Notice that there's an open circle at 1. You also need to know that if it's an open circle, you use parentheses. If it's a closed circle, you use brackets. And you use parentheses when you do infinity. Okay, I'll say it one more time so that hopefully you get it into your brain here. Open circle, parenthesis, closed circle, bracket, infinity is also parentheses. Interval notation is very important at the Algebra 2 level because you need it for college algebra, you need it for AP calculus, you need it for higher level math classes. So notice as I scan the number line from left to right, my shaded area starts at 1 and it's an open circle, so I'm going to put a parenthesis right there, and I'm going to put a 1, and notice that it goes from 1 and it goes on and on and on forever, and the numbers after 1 are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000. It just keeps going on positively. So it goes from 1 to infinity, this number line looks like. You always end and start your infinity with a parenthesis. This is called the interval notation. The second one, if I start here, because you always start from left to right, do you notice if I started here from left to right that this is already shaded in? So my first number is a negative infinity, and I'm going to keep going until my shaded area is done, and my shaded area goes to a -2. Do you notice that it's a closed circle? Closed circles, you use brackets. So the answer to that one is a negative infinity to a -2. Okay, the next number line, you always start from left to right, so I'm starting from the left, and as I get closer and closer to my answer, my shaded area is up here. My first answer is a -2. Why am I using parentheses at a -2? I'm using parentheses because there's an open circle. And I'm only going to go to 1, and then I stop, but that one has to be a bracket because it's a closed circle. Okay, the next one. I'm starting here, and as you can see, it's already shaded down here. So it's a negative infinity, parenthesis out in front, to a -4 with a parenthesis after a -4. So this is all shaded in right here. Notice that there's a gap, but then it starts up again at 3. I'm going to use a bracket at 3 because it's a closed circle. And it goes to infinity with the parenthesis. The last two, notice that the whole thing is shaded in. That means all the answers are correct. I'm starting at a negative infinity, and I'm going to a positive infinity for the shaded region. There's no answer. It's an open circle with a line through it, which most of you know means no solution. So I'm just going to give you a worksheet on interval notation so you can practice interval notation.